Hello and thank you for joining us on Journalists Hangout on Sunday. I'm Ayodele Uzubakun. Today on the program, CBN's 1.48 trillion naira fails to improve food supply and tame inflation as the governor blames rising inflation on insecurity. Federal government to spend 1.1 trillion naira on reconstruction of 12 critical roads across the 6 geopolitical zones. And later on the show, 2020 Kaduna security report shows that 937 people killed and 1,972 kidnapped and 7,195 animals rustled in the states. I'll be hanging out with Babajide Kolade Otitoju and Mayor Akipelu. And also to wish Babajide Kolade Otitoju a happy birthday. He's a year older today. Mayor Jide is a year older, and the social media has been buzzing since morning. I actually uploaded his picture on my profile, and a lot of people have been getting comment on comment and comment on comment. Wonderful guys.
Yeah, let me start by saying happy birthday to a thorough professional that I have so much respect for. I've had the privilege of knowing Babajide since the news days, and I know that he's a very thorough professional. And one of the things that I admire about him is that he takes this job seriously, and he's passionate about it. That is why you see him travel in very difficult circumstances, dangerous terrains, to give stories that people have always admired. And not only that, his knowledge about issues is very interesting.
Sports,
it's very interesting. People, because I meet people every
golf,
time,
cricket,
and they tell me that and I said, look, this guy has edited a magazine. He has edited different when journalism was really difficult. So he has a thorough background, and so. Doing what he's doing now is just has things I've always known about him. I want to wish him happy birthday again. I wish him the best. Best wishes for peace profound, and I hope you will continue to be a source of inspiration to a lot of people in this profession.
Babajide, I don't know.
Thank you so much.
Another 365 days. We thank God for your life, and we've been working together, I think 6-7 years now, and before you got here, we knew each other from the news magazine. But in all, did you ever project that in 2021 you were going to be where you are today?
Definitely not. Print journalism gives you some form of anonymity. That's what print journalism gives you. So we were doing a lot of work as print journalists, but nobody knew us.
Yes, that name has always been there.
Very few people knew us, and we were happy doing what we did, and we were happy to be thorough, to work hard, to take big risk. But once you become a TV reporter, everything changes. People get to know you. A lot more people know me now than they knew me back then, and I can say that I'm happy with the work that I do. I'm happy that Nigerians deeply appreciate my work, and sometimes when you get attacked by people, especially on social media, you sometimes will question yourself. You ask yourself, is it that you are not doing it well? But what people have showed me, especially this year, is that they appreciate my work tremendously. I posted my picture, my birthday picture, around 7 minutes to 12. After 38 minutes, I already had about 500 comments, and I'm like, won't these people sleep? Then, when I checked it around 11, it was already 4,600 comments. So I'm like, this is absolutely overwhelming. I can't believe, and it reinforces the need for me to continue to do what I do and simply ignore those who, for reasons best known to them, are out to bring us down. Not just myself, but even Journalists Hangout. those of them who hate us, who would wish that one day we are no longer there. Remember one fellow posted on your thread that one thing that will make me happy is the day that you are fired. And he said it to both of us. But God will eternally shame that fellow. We won't be fired. We will continue to be appreciated for the work that we do. And I'm very grateful to Nigerians. The love that you've shown me is overwhelming. I can't believe it, that thousands and thousands of people, I've never seen that kind of thing before. Just for a birthday picture, post a birthday picture and see almost 5,000 comments. I sat 3 hours ago.
It's keep ringing, yeah.
You know? So it's, we thank God for where we are. We thank God for what He has made of us. And we will continue to give our best on this program.
Yes, I want to wish Babajide a happy birthday, and we want to just encourage you to continue to do what you know how to do best. And you are somebody we look up to on the program, and every day the program keeps getting better. So if you're ready, let the hangout start now. Many thanks for joining us. The hero's treatment given to the late Tanzanian President John Magufuli through massive funeral and befitting state burial indicates that the works of any African leader who served the people will be forever remembered. Tanzanians trooped out to pay the last respect to President Magufuli in many ways. Let's share some of the images with you. You can see the solidarity there in faraway Tanzania. Mayor, this man, when I was reading about him, we were told that he cut his salary, he slashed his salary 4 times.
Yes,
so much.
Yes, that is commendable. But you know, the president does not really need a salary. So, but what I like about him is that he remained loyal to his people throughout his life. He was a leader that is in the mold of our Muritala Mohammed, somebody who likes to do things contrary to the norms, and he resisted foreign influence in his country. He's one of the few leaders that in that part of the world that did not succumb to China's influence. You know, he believed that he should do things his way, and he was always ready to be with the people. The only problem I have with him was that he didn't take COVID-19 seriously. He didn't take COVID-19 seriously. And there is this rumor that COVID-19 could be responsible for his death, you know, because he was ill for some time. But it was not confirmed. But he did not really take COVID-19 seriously enough, and which I think was unfortunate. But when you look at other things, other indices of a good leader, he was somebody that had a clear vision of what he wanted to do, that believed that this is the way his country should go, and that Tanzanians should be able to decide their fate instead of being under foreign influence.
Babajide, President John Magufuli, what can you say about him?
Yes, the truth is Africa really gets leaders in the mold of this Tanzanian leader. And you can see why it was deeply painful that we had to lose him in the manner in which we have lost him. Leaders who stand up to the West, who stand up to neocolonialism and imperialism, they are never going to be popular with the West and even the Chinese now that are trying to become a later day colonialists in another form. This man was very populist. You know, I even saw a video where he was playing drums in the church, and I'm like, this president. He was playing drums in the church, you know, very lively fellow, and he reminds me of the great Patrice Lumumba of Congo, who was killed in hazy circumstances, most likely by the imperialists. We need leaders like that who put the people first. Leaders who are not wasteful, who will look at how their country is doing and then tell themselves that, look, these are areas where we need to tighten our belts. For example, in our country, there's no reason in the world for us to be as wasteful as we are. We are not generating so much. We are not producing enough. Yet, we cannot ditch our wasteful practices, our ostentatious lifestyle. We find it difficult to brush them aside and live within the realities of the times that we find ourselves. So this is a lesson to African leaders that when you truly work for the people, when you serve the people wholeheartedly, you will live on in their hearts. When you die, you will live on in their hearts. You can see these pictures. These are truly moving pictures to show you how the people appreciated him. We've seen leaders die in Africa.
Yeah.
Rarely do you see this kind of funeral procession when some leaders die. That's to tell you that he connected directly with the people, the masses, and the masses remain grateful to him for his service. These are the kind of leaders that we want, especially in a country like ours. A leader who will be very direct, whose intentions will be focused, and whose intentions will be very clear to the people. Once you have that kind of mindset, the people will come with you. They will support you, and success will be clear at the end of the day.
All right, moving on now. It is demoralizing to hear that 1.487 trillion naira intervention by the Central Bank of Nigeria, CBN, failed to improve food production and food supply and tame inflation. The CBN governor, Godwin Emefiele, blames this on insecurity ravaging the country. Is this a case of more money, more problem, or much more money is required? Let's hear from the CBN governor himself, Godwin Emefiele.
The committee noted with concern the continued uptick in inflationary pressures for the 18th consecutive month as headline inflation year-on-year continued on an upward trend to 17.33% at end of February 2021 from 16.47% in January 2021. This increase continued to be attributed to the increase in both food and core components of inflation, which rose to 21.79 and 12.38% in February 2021, respectively, from 20.57 and 11.85% in January 2021. This persistent uptick in food inflation, however, was the major driving factor to the uptick in headline inflation. This was due to the worsening security situation in many parts of the country, particularly the food-producing areas, where farmers faced frequent attacks by herdsmen and bandits in their farms. While the bank is intervening significantly in the agricultural sector, the rising insecurity in some food-producing areas is limiting the expected outcomes in terms of supply to the market, thus contributing to the rise in food prices. The committee further noted that the key drivers of the increase in core inflation included the hike in the price of premium motor spirit PMS, popularly called petrol, upward adjustment in electricity tariffs, and the depreciation of our currency.
We also got reactions from people to see how inflation has affected production costs.
The cost of market now is very high now compared to last year. There is the economic condition now is poor. Like when you talk of ogbono now, before we used to buy ogbono, I would say at the rate of 400, 500 naira. But now, a pint of ogbono now is 9,000, 8,000 naira. But then we used to buy it 6,000. So you see, the cost of living is very high. Some buy, while some they will still lament and go out because they still expect the price to fall back as December, just like December last year. But now, let's say for example, now we say a cup of ogbono here now is 600 naira. When you tell people, they will complain, they will tell you it's not 400 naira or 500 naira. It's still the same thing, all of them, everything fall on the same level. The market price of everything is high. Stockfish now, there is one we used to buy 450 before. At least it's big. We can sell it like 500 naira or 550. But now the one we are buying 450 now is too small. But when you tell people that is 550, they will be telling you is it not 300 naira. And we buy market to make our own profit. And the profit we are making here is not that it's much. Just like 50 naira profit, and it's not too much to sell something of 450. That is it. And when you still tell them, they will still complain.
Sales has decreased due to some economic reasons. So at least we are coping with it a little bit. Even with what I'm selling, they always say, is it economic factor that makes price of ugu high or what? And we always tell them the low rate of rainfall caused it. As at last year, the way rain fell was very poor and low. So they had to increase the cost of the ugu, like they sell it per head. So last year they sold it 700 per head, but now they sell it to us 1,000 naira. So we have to shift the way we tie it to meet up.
Now the price now is high. The thing that you buy most and you got at the rate of 200 in December, during December period, now it's 500. So it's affecting me because now the place you are working to, it's not that they are increasing your salary. They are not increasing your salary. And still now the cost of things are going up. So it's affecting me in that way also. And they should try to provide for the farmers too. When they provide for the farmers too, they will consider us buying it. Now those we are working for too, they should add to our salary. They should increase our salary also so that we can care for ourselves and our siblings and the rest.
Before tomato I was selling 6,000, now it reached 15,000 naira today. Nobody will question the market. I believe that this market is so heavy. I go out there and so heavy.
All right. Getting reaction from the markets directly there, because when we are talking about double-digit inflation, when we are telling people that for 8 straight months we've not had any respite, it has just been going up and everything. A lot of people out there, they won't understand what we are talking about. So we have to zero it down to how does it affect the price of tomato in the market, the price of vegetable in the market, and Nigerians will understand that one. Babajide, for anything that will affect food this way, it will affect everybody. And we didn't expect that if the prices were going to go up and everything, it should not be like this. People cannot afford what 5,000 naira can buy you before, cannot buy you again. Everything has gone up, Babajide.
Everything. You should expect that we are in dire straits. When inflationary rate keeps going up, and it has gone up consistently month on month for 18 months, as confirmed by the CBN governor himself. It's not Babajide inventing this. It is the CBN governor saying for 18 consecutive months, inflationary rate has not come down. This has serious implications for the well-being of the ordinary Nigerian. Whether we like it or not, you cannot sweet talk this kind of thing away. You just have to face the reality that our people are going through a lot.
Hell.
People are going through dire straits as we speak. They can barely feed their families. And when you have this kind of situation, there is no way crime will not go up, because people will find a way to survive. A lot of people ordinarily would not want to go into crime. They would not want to do Yahoo business and all that, but they are forced by circumstances to take to crime. And in countries, we've always said it, some people don't like it when you talk about senile crimes, but that's their problem. We will keep talking about senile crimes. Where you have a country that has been able to take good care of the welfare of its citizens, what you have is crime rate going down, going significantly down. Why do we have some countries where their prisons are literally empty? And another country is actually getting into an agreement with them to send their own prisoners to that country? Look at Norway. You've seen some of the prisons of the Norwegians. You will feel like sleeping there, because what you have, what they call prisons, are actually better than the best hotels in Nigeria. Everything, golf course, your barbecue equipment, everything that you need. You know? So, crime cannot go down if people are struggling to make ends meet in our country. And as the CBN governor said, a lot of this can be blamed on insecurity. We have said repeatedly that government must solve this problem of insecurity. Some people think that we are simply making a noise, making too much noise, this and that. But if we don't fix insecurity, the well-being of the average Nigerian will continue to get affected, because production will go down. Talking about the farms, people can't access their farms. So why won't food supply be affected? That itself has a serious implication for food security when people can access their farms. I was talking about the Sankira area of Benue State, where Ghana's people are killing people. People have fled their farms, fled their communities. If you decide to stay, they'll take your life. They have a long list of people that they want to kill. Local government chairman, even the governor, if he shows up, if they can lay their hands on him, he's gone. Because they want to avenge the killing of Tewase, alias Ghana. So why won't price of food go up in such places? People get levied. Transporters who are bringing food to the south, for example, they get levied heavily. You see soldiers standing on the road, you see police standing on the road, multiple checkpoints, they get them to pay at every point. Local government officials, so-called local government officials, some of them not better than Hutchins, standing by the roadside,
putting nails,
telling people to stop, forcing trucks bearing food supply to pay hefty sums. That's apart from the extortion by policemen and soldiers. So why won't it affect the price of food crops? So we have this kind of situation. CBN governor released, the CBN released 601.75 billion under the Anchor Borrowers program. Released 218.10 billion by way of a credit facility to SMEs, just for them to improve farming. And they released, under the commercial agri-credit scheme, 686.59 billion. But the CBN governor is saying that this has not helped to push up the level of productivity, and by extension bring prices of food items down because of insecurity. So you can actually have lofty goals, good ideas, good plans, but if you do not fix a particular problem, that problem can cause you to not realize your goal of solving that problem, another problem on its own, which is food supply. We are trying to boost food supply, but if people cannot access their farms, how do we solve that problem?
Mayor, this is so critical.
Yes, let me start by saying that the value of a country's currency is a good indication of the state of your economy. And part of the problem that we have is that we have a problem with the Nigerian currency. Vis-a-vis its value when you compare it with foreign denominated currencies. And that is the major problem, because we're a country of consumers. We hardly produce anything in this country. And when you depend on other people for your state of being, you have to pay for it. And we don't have the foreign currency to pay for it. Our currency is so damaged that when you import things, it has a knock-on effect on the price of the things that people have to buy. So that is why when you go to the market, yes, the prices will go up, because people who import things have had to pay more because of the state of our currency. That is one. So you cannot avoid that. I can see. I agree with. I acknowledge the contribution of CBN in terms of disbursements to different people so as to boost food production. And initially they succeeded because there was ample increase in production of rice.
Yes.
And rice became, because rice is one of the commodities that we import, we spend billions to import. And because of CBN intervention, a lot of activities happen in rice production. And I think we've done very well when it comes to rice production. But we'll not be able to do well in those other areas for two reasons. One, I think the nature of the disbursements I have some problems with it. And what are the problems that I have with the disbursements is that, this is disbursements are made through banks. And it's not everybody that is aware of that facility. So it is concentrated in the hands of few people. Apart from the direct borrowers, the other people, especially the SMCs, are those determined by some people in the bank, and not all of them you can vouch for, because I know a lot of people who are into farming but are not even aware of all these interventions. Because when there's intervention to the tune of 1 trillion, that's a lot of money. And the money is not trickling down to people who really need this money. That's one. The second one has to do with banditry. There's no question that, like Jide said, if you don't solve the problem of security, you cannot solve the problem of food production, inadequate food production. Because if farmers cannot go to their farms,
if bandits are going there to harass them,
even if you make interventions and you give them money, you understand, it will be a waste. They will end up owing banks a lot of money and will not be in a position to pay, because they cannot access their banks, they cannot access their farms. Those who can access their farms, they are kidnapped and forced to pay ransom, And there is this problem between herders and farmers. There is this problems of banditry. So all of that have made this intervention not achieving its desired goal. Because what CBN was trying to do was to say, okay, let us stimulate growth by giving people facility, those who are involved in food production, facility to be able to enhance what they are doing. But unfortunately, because of banditry and the problem between the herdsmen and farmers, they will not be able to achieve the goal. So on one hand, we have an economy that has a problem with its currency, which makes it difficult for importers. So they have to pay highly for things. Even in some cases, it's not even available because some people do not even have access. For example, I was discussing with a friend of mine who is into interiors. My settees, I need to do recovery for my settees. And I was trying to discuss with her. And she told me that even now, to get fabrics, to be able to do those, that will get to a point, they will not be able to get those fabrics because people cannot bring them in. Because they cannot access foreign exchange to do so. You know, so those are the problems that we have.
But in practical terms, what can we use to bring this down? What can be done to make sure that, look, at least it should go back to single digits, 9%, 8%, you know?
The biggest driver of rising inflation in our country currently is food prices. When you look at the breakdown that the NBS has done, is food prices. Food prices are the biggest drivers of this inflation. Now, we've got to solve the security problem because it is one main reason we are not producing enough. And if we are not producing enough, the prices will go up. It's a function of demand and supply, you know. If, for example, you have a deluge of yam tubers, definitely the price must come down. And then, of course, the CBN governor also talked about rise in oil and petrol price. Because these people, at the end of the day, they have to buy petrol, transport goods and services. So it will definitely affect the price at which those commodities are sold. Because they too want to make profit. If you are having to spend much more buying petrol than before, you are going to push that, you are going to push it to the end consumers. You are going to push the effect of that to the end consumer. So what can we do? At the rate we are going, especially with no one sure that we will not eventually remove fuel subsidy.
But they're going to remove it soon.
Yes, at some point they will have to remove it. So if they remove it and the price of pump price of petrol goes up, it will have a ripple effect on virtually everything. What you are wearing, this dress you are wearing, is a petroleum product. It's a petroleum product.
Byproduct.
Yes. Virtually everything. Look at this. This now.
Paper.
You have to use the companies. They buy either diesel or petrol. Depends on what you use to power the engine. So definitely it will affect a lot. But I think that if we can do our best to solve the problem of insecurity, look at even where farmers are allowed to access their farms, they are forced to pay a levy. Look at states like Kaduna.
Yeah.
The bandits will even write to you that, look, we are coming. How much are you going to give us? If you don't bring 20 million, don't bother to come to your farm. If you come to your farm, you will be killed. So when you eventually have to pay huge sums of money, would you not then sell your things at a higher, your produce at a higher price? It's just the reality that we all have to face. The economy is not doing well currently. We must do our best to reflate the economy, but we can see now that some of those interventions are being negatively affected by insecurity, and that's why we have to solve that problem of insecurity.
We have our first caller on the line. Victor is calling us from Enugu. Thank you for joining us, Victor.
Yeah, Ayo. Good morning, my brother. Babajide, the man they couldn't arrest. I've been trying this your station to get you people. Once again, happy birthday, Babajide.
Thank you, sir.
Okay, my little question I want to ask. I think I would deviate a little from what you people are discussing. I want to ask about our Super Tucano, about other military equipment. And again, this drone, this there's one China drone, something like that about. I want to know if Nigeria have gone for that. And what is happening? Because I have one of my cousins that Borno State, a military guy. Yeah. So please, what is the latest on all this our military equipment?
Okay. Yes, the Tucano fighter jets are going to land in Nigeria. The first set will land in Nigeria in July. Those ones will be painted in the desert camel colors. Then every month from that time, one will be ready. We are expecting 12. So every month, one Tucano will be ready. Those ones will be painted in woodland camouflage, which is darker than the desert camouflage. So the Tucanos are coming. We also have already 3 fighter jets supplied by the Pakistanis, which is called the JF-17. It is patterned after the US, the highly successful F-16 Eagle of the US, one of the greatest fighter jets that man has seen in terms of its capacity when it comes to dogfights. It's extremely capable. So the Pakistanis have designed their own JF to look very much like the F-16s. So we have 3 already, and they are going to supply us more. We also are expecting drones, because drones are indispensable. We are expecting drones to come in. The new chief of air staff already talked about the fact that some drones are coming. And frankly, as I've always said, my greatest belief is in the ground attack helicopters, because this kind of warfare, the ground attack helicopters are the most effective. But we still need some of these fighter jets to help us soften them up before we have the ground attack helicopters come in, fly low, and help the ground troops in their operations. They can go together, provide close air support for the ground troops. So, but these ones can do the job of softening up the target before the ground attack helicopter and the surface troops move in. So let's just continue to pray. The Tucanos will come. The airmen have been in the US training. The maintenance people that have been there training. And the place where the Tucanos will the air base that they will use is also being prepared. I don't want to mention the place on air this time. Alive. Yes, so it's a matter of time.
Okay, now back to the inflation rate, Mayor.
What I think government can do, the first one is that, like you said, we have to look at the issue of security. If we don't solve the problem of security, we're just wasting our time. Because
critical.
The farmers have to be secured. They must have an enabling environment for them to be able to produce more, and so that we don't lose. Then we have to sustain the momentum in our rice production, so that we don't lose the what we have gained over time. I think we can do that. Another thing that I think we can do is that government must identify SMEs who are, because every economy is the SMEs that drives the economy. Small scale owners who are into production and have need for foreign exchange. I think that Central Bank has to find a way to make sure that foreign exchange gets to a lot of these small SMEs who are in production. Because if they don't get the foreign exchange and they need to go to black market to be sourcing for foreign exchange to buy things, there is no way the price will not go up.
I think it's also being suggested that the idea of open grazing has to stop. That attacks on farmlands by herdsmen is not. Those attacks are not helping matters at all. In fact, I saw a video. Some women planted spinach, or is it ewedu? What's ewedu called? I can't remember. Planted ewedu, what to call ewedu, just a vegetable, and herdsmen unleashed their cow. Those women were just screaming that what's going on? So you can imagine how long it takes for that vegetable to grow up to the point that you can harvest, and then cows get unleashed.
So we still amount to we must solve the problem of these herders and
farmers conflict.
Yes, we have to, because it's a place a major.
I think that open grazing is no longer sustainable.
It's not sustainable.
We must find a way to put an end to it, and I'm happy that some governors, like the governor of Kano and other governors, are already showing signs that, look, this is not sustainable, and we are going to do everything possible to make it a thing of the past.
Okay, we have Gideon from Makurdi in Benue State. Thank you for joining us, Gideon.
Good afternoon.
Yes, good afternoon, Gideon.
I'm calling from Makurdi.
All right.
Okay, we have Gideon from Makurdi. Yes, thank God to catch up with you guys today. Happy birthday to Babajide. Happy birthday to
Thank you.
Gideon.
Thank you, Gideon.
Happy Palm Sunday.
Yes, so.
I just want to choose my contribution. You see, this issue of inflation bites harder mostly on women. The effect mostly is on we civil servants. You see, what we used to buy 1,000, 5,000, cannot buy now. And actually, you see there are no increment. In fact,
no salaries.
I'm like the way the Babajide is putting together the issue of so it's very unfortunate. We are for business people, they trade as they buy. If you buy 10, you cannot say 10, of course. But the civil servants, there's nothing we can do. Just keep on watching and see what government will do to us. So it's very, very painful to, especially to we civil servants. This is our inflation. Thank you so much.
All right.
Thanks.
From all indication now, we are having it so bad already. This insecurity thing is really affecting.
Yeah, but we must not lose. We must not give up. When you identify a problem, that problem is half solved. You know, the government acknowledge that there is insecurity in the land. It is important that that insecurity has to be solved for us to be able to solve the food crisis. You know, at a time, the kind of billions that we used to import rice have been reduced drastically. But now we are losing that momentum because, you know, there was a time the rate the rice production was going, we thought by now we would even be exporting rice. But government should find a way of making sure that we solve this problem, the insecurity problem, and these bandits, so that our farmers can have more time to grow more produce. The CBN must also reorganize the way they disburse the funds, the intervention funds, because like I said, there are a lot of people into farming who cannot access these funds. And then government also must also look at how we are going to strengthen the Naira. I think that the way the Naira is now, the value of the Naira is, to me, absolutely ridiculous. But like I said, the value of your currency shows the state of your economy. It shows that our economy is extremely in dire straits, and that is why our currency is this bad. But your currency cannot be this bad, and you think that you will not have a runaway inflation. There's no way you can escape it, especially in a country that depends on everything, including toothpick, that you import everything. And when you import everything, you have to pay for those things. And when you want to pay for those things, that means there will be so much pressure on your Naira, on your currency, because so many people want this dollar and it's not available. You know, even the CBN has spent so much money from our foreign reserve to back the Naira, but it seems like it has not been working. So they have to find a way of strengthening the Naira, and then make sure that there is intervention, because a lot of big players get most of this foreign exchange, and some of them get involved in round tripping and all that. You must find a way of making sure that SMEs who are into production, like I explained the other time, somebody who is into furniture making said, look, we cannot even get these fabrics to be able to work with, and that it will get to a stage we may not get this fabric because those who want to import it cannot import because they don't have access to foreign exchange. And these people cannot import themselves because they cannot access foreign exchange. So central bank has to look at ways of the way they disburse foreign exchange.
Babajide, one woman was talking about increasing her salary there. And a lot of people, they've been asking for pay rise, labor and everything. Would that in any way solve this problem?
No, it won't.
Let's say we start increasing people's salary across board, or government should look for a way to cushion the effects of the inflation.
Definitely, that won't solve the problem. It won't solve the problem. We must find a way to ensure that the prices of goods and services are not constantly rising as they are rising now. They are constantly rising. That's you had that girl talking about how much they were buying a cup of ogbono, 2 months ago. It's gone up now. So if it's constantly rising, you definitely have inflation. There's no two ways about it. And those problems, we've already talked about those problems. Problem of farmer header crisis, banditry, insecurity generally. We've got to address it to help us solve this problem.
All right, we'll take this break. When we come back, we'll talk more. Stay with us. It's the 28th day of March, and this is Journalists Hangout on Sunday. I still have Babajide Kolade Otitoju, who's celebrating his birthday today, and Mayor Akipelu with me in the studio. Ambitious and extensive is how best to describe the federal government's plan to reconstruct 12 highways across the 6 geopolitical zones in Nigeria at a combined cost of 1.1 trillion naira. The road projects cover full reconstruction and expansion of 12 major federal highways spanning 1,963 kilometers and is expected to create 50,000 direct and 200,000 indirect jobs. Babajide, this is quite ambitious, and I hope Nigerians understand the essence of, trying to reconstruct this road. And some, according to the Works and Housing Minister, Babatunde Fashola, will be told. So when they start towing those roads, people won't start carrying placards, because the way those roads are now, I don't know. There's some road you can't just, when you think of passing through those roads now, they're in a very, very sorry state.
Yes.
Federal roads across the country.
So many federal roads that are death traps that you don't want to drive on them. It was suggested that, look, the federal government has so many roads to take care of that some of those roads could actually be considered to the state governments, because you definitely, and we have seen over time, federal government neglecting those roads, pushing the state governors to construct those roads, and then sometimes even outright construction, and then forward their bill to the government and asking for a refund. President Buhari approved a refund of expenses on federal roads to some states the other day, including Rivers, Bayelsa, hefty sums of money spent on federal roads in those areas. And I know also that even the governor of Ekiti State would like to do the road connecting, I think Itanyure was that, from the border with Osun State to Ekiti. You know, if he was permitted, he would like to construct that road and probably toll it so that they can recover their financial, the expenses on that road. So I think that we are beginning to move in the right direction. The federal government has not got the money to maintain all its roads. The roads that are designated as owned by federal government, there are too many. So right now, they are opting for PPP. PPP is the way to go. I think that a lot of the things for which we even award contracts for. We've got to go the PPP way, or do BOT, build, operate, and transfer. You know, in Angola now, as we speak, there's an American firm that is helping them to build a big refinery, almost 400,000 barrels per day. They will build the refinery and then run it for the government for some time before the ultimate transfer to the state. So now, all these projects are going to be done the PPP way. So it's not as if it's the federal government that is going to spend all the money. So it's still a win-win situation for us, and we will be happy to see excellent roads where there will be rest areas as we have abroad. Of course, even that is also dependent on security. If we have rest areas and the places, those roads are not secure, so who would want to use those rest areas? If we have businesses that have been generated through the construction of those roads, who will want to stay on to do business if they are not sure that those highways are safe? So security is still important. That has to be addressed as well. But this is a good initiative. If we can pull it off, I think it's a good one.
So highlights of the roads are just Benin-Asaba Express Road, that's 125 kilometers. Abuja-Lokoja Express Road, it's about 193 kilometers. Kano to Katsina, that's 159 kilometers. We have Onitsha to Weri and Aba at it spans 161 kilometers. Shagamu to Benin, 258 kilometers. Abuja Kefi Akwanga Road, that's 122 kilometers. And we have Kano to Maduguri, that's 196 kilometers. Also Kano to Shauri is 100 kilometers. And Potiskum to Damaturu is 96 kilometers. Lokoja to Benin, that's 270 kilometers. And Enugu Port Harcourt, 200 kilometers. Ilorin to Jeba, 129 kilometers. Lagos Ota Abeokuta, 80 kilometers, and Lagos Badagry 79 kilometers. In all, this is just like, this will be 1,963 kilometers in all, and these are federal roads cut across the 6 geopolitical zones. Mayor, this is going to be nice if we have multiple roads along this wonderful express roads.
Let me start by saying that I believe that this government have not done really well when it comes to the economy. That's my belief. But one thing you cannot take away from them is what they have done when it comes to infrastructure. You have to give it to them. They, apart from the time of the military, I don't think that any government has done more in terms of infrastructure than this government. You know, when you look at rail, when you look at the roads that have been constructed, when you look at airports that have been redeveloped, you will know that this government have done well when it comes to infrastructure. And this initiative is something that we should commend, because this fact of the case is that government does not have the money to do a lot of these federal roads. And these federal roads, because of the long years under the military administration, you know, our federalism is more like a unitary system. So a lot of the interconnecting roads, you understand, are federal roads, and they don't have the resources to do these roads. And it's not rocket science to know that you have to look for private investors to do this for you, and told it, you commercialize it. That's the only way you can do it. That is how it's done elsewhere. If you go to New York, if you go to, if you go, not done this. If you go to, you know, because you see, part of the problem is that this private initiative is something that is just evolving in Nigeria. And I'll give you an example. Look at the Lagos-Ibadan Expressway. Initially, government concessioned it.
Yes.
The concessionaire could not come up with the funding.
By company.
Yes, they could not come up with the funding, and there was an issue. The government took it over and gave it to another set of concessionaires. They could not raise the funds. The government took it over. This concessionaire went to court. You remember that if it's not for the doggedness of the current Minister of Works, you understand, perhaps the project would have been abandoned. And apart from that, when government now took it over, they didn't really have enough funds to be able to do it. They've been there for years doing the road. You will see
I'm waiting for Ibori's loot.
You will see that. You will see that they keep working on it.
People didn't loot.
No, they keep working on it. But the problem is that they don't have enough resources to be able to do this.
So it has to go through different budget cycles.
And cycles, yes. So when you now look at these roads, what they can achieve in doing this, because in New York, for example, when you go to New York, a lot of their bridges in New York, major bridges in New York, all of them are tolled.
The bridges?
Yes.
Oh, I remember.
All the major bridges in New York, they are tolled. Majority
so
of them. You pay toll when you want to go there because you see, paying toll is not
the alternative route.
You
will see a lot of traffic.
Yes,
in Nigeria now, when they talk about toll, they will think it's punishment.
They think it's punishment
because we've been used to just getting everything.
Toll is convenience. It's convenience. What they are telling you is that,
of course, the money will be used to maintain the place.
Instead of us to have a death trap as road, where people cannot really travel,
private people,
and then you spend 6 hours, 8 hours trying to commute. If you allow a company to invest money and do proper road, you understand? If in America, traveling is fun.
It's fun.
Traveling is fun because one, you will see like a 12 lane road that you can even drive. You can even drive sleeping at the steering because it's a 12 lane. Everybody in different one. And then when you get to a point, you are tired. There are stops where you can come in. There are rest areas where you can rest.
That's what they are trying to do.
They're trying to do now. You buy food, you buy drinks, you rest. You can even get.
And you have street lights.
Even if you want to rest for something, there are some short rests where you can actually sleep and spend about 2-3 hours holiday.
Something else.
No, not the short rest that we do here. No, when I say short rest is that you can stay about 1 or 2 hours.
People start thinking you are saying something else.
No. It's not the short rest that you will carry a lady to office. No. What I'm saying is that there are areas where you can rest for some time, then you continue your journey. It's easy for you to do that. And then when you have this private initiative, they will be able to, because they have invested so much money, which they are going to raise from the banks. You understand? They are going to toll these roads to be able to get their money back. You understand? And in the course of doing that, because they want people to patronize those roads, they will also provide security along that road. Not only that, they will provide other services. So that if the car breaks down, there will be people that can assist you and all that. So that is the way to go. Because we don't have the resources and we cannot wait for 10 budget cycles to be able to do one single road. You understand? But if we can do this in all the capital zones, we open it up and then we can afford to pay those, because all these commuters, a lot of them pay this kind of money to all these road transport workers and policemen and so-called security people. They pay all these tolls to them anyway. So
why not pay to government?
So let us pay it to private people who are going to do these roads, and then all of us can have a better country.
Okay.
And you know one thing that I even like is that under Fashola, even road infrastructure within tertiary institutions have been given serious attention. You see roads constructed within some universities, you know. So
when it comes to roads and infrastructure,
that's the funding. The funding challenge.
I'm sure that if they had given greater access to funds, they will have done a lot more.
Yes, a lot more.
And you can give Fashola that credit. Amongst the ministers of this government, is a star. You know, he's always been. And,
yes. It seems to be on top of his game.
Yes, and when he gives you. When you are driving through Wemco Road, for example, for me, every time I'm driving on that road at night,
fantastic.
I pray for him.
Fantastic.
I pray for him that
road for years.
Fashola delivered that road. Yes.
They keep doing it. They keep doing it.
When even the excavation that they did, almost as high as a story building.
Yes.
Fashola delivered that road, and it's a thing of pride. And to know that he's been given a greater responsibility. It's a thing of joy.
Very difficult terrain, that road.
Back then,
yes,
flooding and everything, all kinds of problems.
Yeah. Okay. And we're being joined by the Senior Special Assistant to the President on Public Communications, Ajuri Ngilale from Abuja. Thank you for joining us, Ajuri.
Good afternoon, gentlemen. It's truly humbling to be with all of you. Thank you.
All right. Now, you have the total 1,963 kilometers, that represents 5.6% of the 35 kilometers of federal road network across the country. How do you intend to fund this, to go about, the reconstruction of these roads?
Yes, thank you very much. So really, I think it's really important, before I start, to lay the context. Right now in this country, we have nearly 200,000 kilometers of road network. Out of about 195,000 kilometers of road network, 35,000 kilometers of road network are federal roads. All of the remaining, which is about 160,000 kilometers of road in this country, belong to the state governments and local governments. I think that's important to note, because a lot of times when you hear the analysis, you would think that the federal road network is the robust majority of roads we have in the country, when in fact it's a very tiny fraction. And even the 160,000 that are domiciled in the state and local government responsibility lines are not being well taken care of. So when some state governments are telling the federal government to hand over roads to them, we tend to ask them, what is it that you're doing with the 160,000 kilometers of road, many of which are not in a good condition? So we have real challenges, and we believe as an administration that we have to be very, very innovative about how we're going to finance in view of these initiatives, in view of the challenges we face. One of them is, of course, this highly commendable initiative done by the Honorable Minister of Works and Housing, His Excellency Babatunde Fashola. You have a 1.1 trillion naira program, which is going to be predominantly funded through a kind of a private sector partnership, the Highway Development and Management Initiative, that's going to basically bring on new concessionaires, but not in a way that it was done before. Now you're going to have, in effect, a full menu of options that will be transparently provided to the nation and indeed the international community on a website. That is hdmi.worksandhousing.gov.ng. hdmi.worksandhousing.gov.ng. That portal opens tomorrow. That is Monday, the 29th of March. It opens tomorrow, and everybody can go there. There are two major things, two very important components of it. One is what we call value-added concessions, VAC. How this works is it deals with the actual right-of-way, the actual road network that we're talking about, and not just the road network. Many people may not know that it's also dealing with the broadband cabling, to deepen internet penetration in the country. A lot of the broadband cabling that is done alongside these right-of-ways. So it's going to be a full concessioning of these right-of-ways under VAC. So if you're a road contractor of international repute and standard with proven technical competence and of course the financial weight and wherewithal to be able to handle the assignment that you're looking for, then you're going to go through the VAC, which is on the portal. Everything will be transparent, from approvals to permits to all of the processes will be live on that website for everybody to watch in real time. Secondly, you have what we call the UAA, which is the unbundled asset approvals. Now, this is where it gets very, very interesting. At a time when we are all battling as an international community, economic recessions around the world, we were even fortunate to have come out early as a result of the very swift implementation of the 2.3 trillion naira economic sustainability plan last quarter. But many nations around the world are seeing their currencies depreciate. They're seeing massive job losses, evictions, and of course, they still remain in recession even after we've exited. So what you have is a situation where we are now saying we have to create jobs and we have to do it quickly. So in addition to the ESP, what we're doing with this program is we're focusing on job creation by saying, look, it's not just about the roadway. It's not just about the right-of-way. It's also about the opportunities you can provide on the right-of-way. If you look at the West, I'm glad my brother made reference to some of the Western infrastructure that he has witnessed himself, where you have these Western-style rest areas, etc., where small businesses from the local communities along these roadways can now have a formalized economic environment in which they can operate safely and successfully, dealing with high traffic volumes on very well-conditioned roads. This is what we're providing. So if you are a small business person, providing maybe even towing service, you want to open a restaurant, you want to sell textiles, whatever it is you're interested in, you go to that same website, hdmi.worksandhousing.gov.ng, when the portal opens tomorrow, and you will now register under the UAA, which gives you opportunity to now join with concessionaires of the actual right-of-ways so that you can synergize your small business plan with their own reconstruction plan. So that you can take advantage of the new opportunities that will arise with the construction of new rest areas, weight bridges. Weight bridges are going to be huge income generators as a result of the propensity of our transporters to overload. So we're going to both make money with weight bridges, and we're also going to ensure that everybody plying these new roads, once they're reconstructed, are carrying the right weight, so that we are able to sustain the longevity and the life of those particular roads instead of them breaking down early because of overloading. So you make money in the process, and then of course you enforce the regulation more effectively with the weight bridges. So there will be so many opportunities, and they'll be on that website opening up tomorrow.
So actually, tell us about the road proper now. Some Nigerians want to know, after constructing this road, are they all going to be tolled? Is it going to be on build, operate, and transfer, or private partnership way?
Yeah, thank you very much. So certainly anybody who is bringing their hard-earned capital is not doing it out of pure altruism or pure sense of charity. Clearly, they are looking for a return on their investment. Nigeria's market is already proven. We have 200 million very industrious, brilliant, and energetic people who ply the road. So whether it is their own cars, whether it's a new or old car, whether it is inside the mass transit system, people taking buses across the various expressways, we have a lot of people, and we have a lot of people using our roads. So it's a natural investment opportunity. One of the things that we have seen already, many people are under the impression that private investors don't have interest in Nigeria, and that has been proven false. If you look at the Sukuk bonds that we floated over the last few years, you will find that even last year, and I think it was round 2, we were looking for about 144 billion through the Sukuk bond, which allows private investors to invest their funds in the construction of federal roads. We ended up being massively oversubscribed to the tune of receiving about 162 billion just last year, when we were only looking for about 140 something billion. So the interest is there. Now the key is, how do you build the architecture of the program in such a manner that you protect the interest of Nigerians as well as the interest of the investor? And that is why government said, look, we will certainly reintroduce tolling. There's no doubt about that. There's no magic wand to this day. When somebody makes an investment, they must recoup that investment. And in addition to that, they also must ensure that when you spend so much money building a road, it's in the interest of everybody, the commuter and the investor, to ensure that it's also sustained at that quality, which is why maintenance becomes very important, so that government is not coming in 10 years from now having to spend another 100 billion on a road because it wasn't well maintained. Now, what we're doing differently is that you will recall that under the Chief Olusegun Obasanjo era, you had a situation where we had a plethora of cash tolling sites where people will be coming through. They'll be paying cash toll to people they don't know on the road. And then you have a situation where the person collecting the cash toll can now report in their books that we collected toll from 100 people. Meanwhile, over 5,000 people traveled on that road that day that they collected cash from, and there's no system. So what we're going to do is we're going to very methodically introduce and implement e-tolling, and it's going to be standard nationwide. No road in this country will be tolled by cash. It will all be e-tolling. So now, every Nigerian will have an opportunity to equitably engage with this system because it does not require a bank account. So for example now, if you are somebody who does not have a bank account, but naturally you have cash because you need to travel and you have to pay your mass transport fare, etc., what happens is you can go to a place where you can now give your cash to somebody. They will give you plastic card, for example, that you can now recharge, right, with cash. Then you will have that card almost like a transport card or like a debit card, something like that. As you go through the system, you just put in your card. It will now deduct 100 naira on fare from it, and you go your way. So that is how tolling is going to be done in the country. And it's not just under the HDMI program, by the way. We have several other programs that I think really don't get enough attention. When you look at the Presidential Infrastructure Development Fund, PIDF, which is when we talk about Abacha loot, Ibori loot, and some of these other sources of loot that we're plugging into the construction of the roads under the PIDF, You're talking about the second Niger bridge, 206 billion naira, out of which we've already paid over 100 billion naira. It's at 55% completion. It's going to be completed by the first half of next year, 2022. My brother mentioned the Lagos-Shagamu-Ibadan Expressway. I want to correct the impression that we do not have the funding. The funding is more than enough, and we are completing that entire road in addition to the expansions, the new interchanges, the new bridges that are along that axis. We're doing all of that completed by I believe the third quarter of next year. By January 2023, these projects will be done. And then, of course, the third project on the PIDF is the Abuja Kaduna Zaria Kano Expressway, which is going to be completed by the first quarter of 2023. So there's so much going on, and that is not even involving the Executive Order 007 roads, like the Dangote construction on Apapa Tollgate or Oronshoki Road. That's about 73 billion. I believe it's going to be completed by the end of this year. And then, of course, the Boni Bodo Road linking NLNG headquarters on Boni Island to the mainland of this country for the first time in 50 years. That's going to be completed next year. 120 billion naira road being constructed by Julius Berger under that Presidential Executive Order 007. So I think if you look at the multifarious interventions we're making, already collaborating with the private sector, and then, of course, the Sukuk roads, you will know that the investor interest is there, but the HDMI takes it to the next level. What His Excellency Babatunde Fashola has introduced with this program is unprecedented in the sense that it not only deals with the right of way, it also ensures that the economic interest of local communities across the nation, north, south, east, and west, because these roads cut across all geopolitical zones of the Federation in phase one, and they will continue to in the next phases. You're protecting the economic interest of those local business people, local traders, who will now have new world-class infrastructure around them, where they can move in and they can now be dealing with commuters directly in very beautiful rest areas and other ancillary facilities along these right-of-ways. It's really quite impressive.
Ajuri, my own question is this. You said you are going to do e-tolling. Who controls that toll gate? Who controls it? Is it the investor or government? That is one. Two, because you said you are going to that all these roads are going to be e-tolling. That will be very difficult because there are some people who may not have the capacity to be able to understand the e-tolling very well. Even in Sena climbs, apart from the fact that most of the people, a lot of people use electric tolling, they still collect cash at the toll gates, you know. So there are a lot of people that are not educated who are going to apply these roads, who may find it cumbersome having to charge their car to be able to
access the bus
drivers and all that. But who controls that tolling? Is it the investor or government?
Okay, and let me add a question so that you can take everything together. How did the ministry arrive at the choices that they made in terms of these roads? How did they, what did they bear in mind in choosing this road and that road? Because I'm looking at traffic. Some of those roads, there's heavy traffic, some not so much. So what was the criteria used in deciding that so and so roads will benefit from this initiative?
Thank you very much. So let me start from the first question, my dear brothers. The issue of tolling. Number one, this entire process is being guided by obviously a contractual agreement. They cannot access any facility of the federal government of Nigeria without an agreement with the federal government of Nigeria. So every agreement has its checks and balances, has the stipulations that would ensure that whichever concessionaire takes over whichever section of the highways in question, that they are abiding by certain regulations as stipulated by the agreement. So there's not going to be a situation where government hands over, we close our eyes and we pretend like we don't see what is happening. No, that's not going to be possible under these arrangements. Very fastidiously carried out under the leadership of President Muhammadu Buhari through the very capable Minister of Works and Housing, His Excellency Babatunde Fashola. The tolling will be controlled, of course, by the private concessionaire. But again, guided by agreements that have been thoroughly, elucidated by all parties and agreed to by all parties. So that's number one, and that's how we're going to continue to protect the interests of Nigerians in terms of the rate of tolling, the process, and all of that. I think my brother also raised the question of accessibility. I think we should not underestimate the sophistication of Nigerians. I'm not even talking of just formal education, amount of people who went to college, who went to university, and all of that. I'm not even talking of that. I'm talking about people who never went to school, but they just have sense. Nigerians are very brilliant people. Just because you didn't go to school doesn't mean you're not very savvy and very wise. So what happens is a lot of times you'll find people, go to markets nationwide. There was a time 20 years ago, 2000, 2001, if you had said that an owner of a market stall, for example, will be using smartphone to be sending money from one place to another, or will be using the internet on their cell phone like that, you would have said it's not possible. This person never went to school. But look at the reality today. A bulk of the people who are traders and marketers, they will even give you their account number to do the business. Even the street hawker can give you his account number to transact business. So Nigerians are very, very brilliant. Even no matter their level of exposure or education, when they see a good thing, we sabi good thing. No matter where it is, we go find out. That is who we are. So that's the first thing. The other issue of how we're going to do it is that if you're somebody who does not have bank account, because that's a real issue, we do have a major issue in terms of formalizing the economy and getting as many Nigerians into the formal economy as possible. That is a real issue, which is why we are providing the option for somebody who does not have BVN, does not have account number, as long as they're dealing with cash. Of course, everybody has to operate with either cash or cashless. That's the only way you can operate in a society. So as long as you have cash, if we're dealing with buses, for example, maybe I'm a low-income Nigerian, right? And I have to use a mass transport bus and I'm going through the toll. Then naturally, we're going to have the toll fare that is dedicated to a mass transport bus. So they will pay on behalf of those who are in their car. And then, of course, they will now have factored that into the charge as they're going along the way. What we have said consistently is that if you ask 100% of Nigerians, and I'm willing to make this claim, that if you ask 100% of Nigerians, you'd rather have your current road network that is under-invested in because of revenue shortfalls, whether it's federal government's 35,000 kilometers of roads, or whether it is the state and local government's 160,000 kilometers of roads, where you're being delayed, where a 1 hour trip is taking 6 hours. By the time you get to where you're going, you're having to spend thousands of naira to try and repair your vehicle because of the spoiled road. Or would you rather pay 100 naira toll on that same perfectly laid right of way with all of the ancillary activities along it, just the way it is in the West and other countries, but you're going to pay your 100 naira and you get to where you're going on time and you're not worried about repairing your car because of spoiled road? I think 100% of Nigerians will pay that 100 naira. I want to just answer my brother Babajide. I believe you asked the question around sorry, if you can just repeat the last part of your question.
How were those choices made? Because when you look at those roads, some of them have traffic, some don't have traffic so much.
Yes. Thank you very much for the reminder, Babajide. So what you have with this, it's similar to the same economic analysis we undertook for the rail line prioritization is what we have done with this particular program. So we have done already forensic economic analysis of the volume of goods and services, economic goods and services that travel along all of the various corridors of the nation. We know where the highest volumes are, medium volumes are, and the lower volumes are. As a result of maybe the factors such as maybe the proximity to ports is a major one. Of course, the rate of crime in a particular area is a factor. The rate of economic activities along a particular corridor is a major factor. And then, of course, legacy issues around, like Lagos, of course, benefits very massively from being a former capital of the country, etc. So there are so many factors that go into it. What we found is that if you look at the Western corridor, when we did the rail, I'm just giving rail as an example, when we decided to do the Lagos-Abeokuta-Ibadan rail line first, it was first of all because you had the busiest port in the nation in that axis, which we have now connected to rail for the first time, at least standard gauge. We've basically said, look, if we have 30 million tons running through that particular axis, and the second closest axis, in terms of economic volume, in terms of tonnage, is 11 million. Then, of course, the very wise and natural economic decision is to go to the Western Corridor. But unfortunately, when we did that, people now made political aspersions and allusions. That is because with the Western and Northern linkage, the political, base of the All Progressives Congress. That is not true. We did it based on that economic formula. So it's the same thing.
Yes, I want to thank you, Ajuri.
We looked at the expressways across the country.
Our time is fast spent, Ajuri. I want to thank you. You've been able to justify while you were actually employed in that position. I'm telling you, because from all your analysis, you have your facts and figures right there. And when Ajuri is talking sometimes, you will think that, is this not the same Nigeria that I'm staying?
You think it's reading? You think it's reading from a script?
This is the same country. Are you telling me that all is well? But I want to thank you, Ajuri.
It's our country, my brother. It's our country, my brothers. It's only that there's so much lamentation in the nation that we get swept away in the negative, that we cannot even see the good that is happening in front of us.
Yes.
There's quite a lot that is happening. We have our challenges. We have a lot of pain in the country economically right now with the pandemic and everything. We will come out of it. We will come out of it stronger than ever before.
It's a good thing that we have someone like you.
Someone like you, at least,
who can let the world know
from government side is
what's going on
about insecurity and everything.
The truth really is that a lot of what is going on, Nigerians don't know, because there are not many competent communicators to assist the government to get this done. This is a fact. Moving around, I've seen a lot of work done that they are not talking about. And I've had to quarrel with some people. I even told you about it. No matter what we go through, our people need to be informed.
Yes.
And if our people
know about
don't
these projects,
get informed about even things that are going to be extremely beneficial to them, then they will remain despondent. They will be wondering what's going on. Who will save us? Who will bail us of this? But where real progress is being made, government is obligated through the people who get paid for working for government to get those things out,
so that we know,
so that the masses get to know that yes, those that they have entrusted with leadership are doing some things,
the best they can,
good things,
yes,
to change I mean.
So we don't need media handlers that will be abusing Nigerians, but they are there to tell Nigerians about the good
facts.
things.
Let government people know.
Yes, the good things.
And we also don't need so-called media handlers who simply sit in their offices and just lounging rather than getting the job done. And the job is to let Nigerians know what the government is doing in the power sector, what the government is doing in solid mineral sector and other sectors. And you don't have to be cloned for us to find those people. You don't have to be cloned for us to find those people. Government must also work hard to find the people who can work for it, who can get that message out. That we've done this, we've done that, we've done this, we've done that. So thank you for the job you do for us. We are grateful that you could find the time to come and let Nigerians know
about this lofty project,
what is being done. And I'm sure that by the time this whole thing gets done, a lot of Nigerians will be grateful that government intervened in that critical sector. Thank you.
Thank you, Ajuri.
Have a blessed Sunday.
You know, we are just saying that if 1,963 kilometers of road is addressed in this country, these major roads, there will be a kind of respite.
Yes.
If I can travel Lagos-Ibadan Express Road.
Look at that road.
Regulated 45-50 minutes.
That road, that Katsina, you've been on that road
yes,
before.
Yes, Katsina.
It's not far.
It's not far at all. But
the road, because it's not good enough, you waste so much travel time and all that. By the time they fix that road in the manner that they are promised that they will do it, and with all of the ancillary projects that will come with it, honestly, people will enjoy traveling.
Lokoja to Benin,
and what I'm happy
270 kilometers.
But of course, there has to be security.
What I'm happy about is that based on what we've heard from Haji, you will see that they seem to have done their homework very well. It seems to have the information and how things will get done at his fingertips, which is very good. Because
we also informed them in good time.
Yes,
it's had more than 48 hours to
do that, which is good. But
for a communicator like him, is competent.
For the information he has given us, for example, a lot of people, or a lot of viewers of Journalists Hangout will be able to. They will be ready. They know that this road.
They can imagine what's coming.
Yes, they can imagine what is coming. They know that this is government plan for this road, and that, like he said, they would rather pay 100 naira than to continue to suffer what they have to
waste money.
So it is important because a lot of this government job has to do with public relations. You must market your principle. You must market your program.
You must let
people know. It's not only for you to be brilliant to be able to write good articles. You must know. You must be able to sell your government. You must be able to sell your principle.
And it's not just to say, okay, because you don't want to be criticized. You will criticize. You will be criticized whether you like it or not. But the thing is, when great things are happening,
let us know.
Let the media know.
You
have to know something about strategic communication and perception management. Bring out a few things. Let the media help you to highlight that. Or if you spend your time just simply abusing the media and working or giving money to idiots on social media whose main goal is simply to be attacking the media, the job will not be done. Today, Nigerians have been able to see what Fashola plans to do, and he has put flesh to it. This is what is required.
Cut across the 6 geopolitical zones.
They must make themselves accessible and be able to provide the facts that we need.
All right, moving on now, and finally on the show today, Kaduna State is truly in the eye of the raging insecurity storm. A report on states of insecurity in the northwest state shows that 937 people were killed and 2,972 kidnapped, and 7,195 livestock rustled in 2020. This indicates that banditry, kidnapping, and cattle rustling remain the most challenging threats in the state, rather than claims of genocide due to communal clashes in some quarters. Kaduna State, I'm sure, Babajide, they've had their own fair share of this insecurity, and if
you have a big share,
well, honestly,
big share.
As if you are talking about Boko Haram in the northeast, as the way Borno is battling with, insecurity. When we talk about Adamawa, Yobe, and Borno, Borno is heavily affected. When it comes to Boko Haram. So this
Kaduna is becoming the epicenter of banditry now.
This banditry now.
Because if you even observe, in the last few days, not many reports from Zamfara. Reports from Katsina still, but not as much as Kaduna. Kaduna is every day. Every day, people get kidnapped, people get killed. The other day, some Redeemed Church members were going to Kamaja, and on Kachia Road, they were kidnapped. Now they're asking for 50 million ransom.
50 million?
50 million
just
ransom,
like that, for 8 people.
So Kaduna is extremely insecure, and something has to be done about it. Remember those 39 students?
Yeah, that's it.
They're still there. Now, looking at this, Ayo, looking at this, 937 killed in 1 year. This
I'm sure that's an underestimation.
No, we know that it is not even possible to know all that happened. Some people will simply go and bury their dead. They don't want any issue. But even at that, 937 killed when we are not at war. Look, this 937 can even be the total number lost in a war.
Yeah.
Yes. 937 killed in one state.
One state
in 1 year. Not that there was pestilence or one serious
pandemic that took people's life.
Just bandits, criminals just taking people's lives. 937. No.
Then you have to also consider the number of people kidnapped.
Yes,
because that is the one reported, over 2,000.
Yes, those kidnapped, they gave us the figure now.
Yes, 2,000
I think
and 2,000, yes.
More than 2,000.
More than 2,000, yes.
Again, some families will simply
because those are the ones that were reported, yes.
And not even get the police involved at all. Okay, 1,972 kidnapped during the same period.
Yeah.
They said one local government, in one local government, Igabi, 152 were kidnapped. That's the same area where we had the kidnapping of those students. That is Igabi.
Yeah, you can imagine counting people before you get to 1,000, before you get to 2,000. That's amount of people kidnapped in a country that security, everything is still in place.
Kaduna State has a governor that I think is hardworking and forward-looking. So he has to sit down and come up with a strategy to solve that problem, because the protection of lives and property is the first duty of government. If you say you are opening your state for economy, your state is the best in terms of means of doing business and all those things. It's not enough when you cannot protect your citizens. And the number of people kidnapped shows that the level of banditry in Kaduna State is unacceptable. So governments have to find a way of solving that problem. They cannot resolve that. They cannot throw up their hands in frustration and say there's nothing we can do. It is a duty of government to arrest the situation. Because
this report that they put together is an attempt to solve the problem, know the areas that are worst hit, and come up with solutions.
At least they'll be able to confirm that their problem has nothing to do with the intertribal problem.
Yeah,
that is the major problem. Yes, they have been able to confirm that in fact, their problem has to do with bandits.
This has shown that the worst hit areas are not even those areas where those communal clashes are.
Yes.
You know, Chikun local government, for example, is like close to the heart of the town. Yet people get kidnapped for fun. Then Igabi, which is not far from the Brenengwari axis, still part of Kaduna Central. People get kidnapped. So if one local government, that is Igabi, suffered 152 dead, Kajuru, 144, you know? So 50% of those deaths were recorded in Chikun, Igabi, Giwa, and Brenengwari. That's 617 people died in Igabi, Giwa, Brenengwari, and Chikun local government. So at least they know the local governments, the 4 local governments that are where the bulk of the banditry happens. The bulk of the attacks on communities with the intention of stealing their stuff, stealing their cattle and all that. So they can then come up with a plan to protect these areas. That is what the governor ought to be planning. The way it is now, it even seems that bandits have made up their minds that, okay, Kaduna, we are going to Kaduna to teach this governor a lesson, since he said they should not pay us ransom.
It's possible.
Yes.
It's
no,
possible.
because the escalation in attacks on Kaduna looks suspicious. Looks suspicious.
And part of my worry right now is that we have a situation that the population of these people is the kind of growing, rising. As in the bandits.
The bandits.
Yes, because of the way they are getting away.
It's just so lucrative now.
Business.
Any business that you do and that thrives, people will want to join. And like I explained one time like that, it is much easier than armed robbery. You understand? It pays more than armed robbery.
Of course.
You know, because when you're an armed robber and you go on a mission or go on an operation,
there is no armed robbery where you can be paid.
Yes, you are not even sure of what you are going to get.
Yes.
And the risk is very high. But kidnapping, the risk is there. But if you are lucky, you can get 50 million. You can get $1 million
at once.
How many of these
get $2 million?
Do we have the police people cracking and busting and still making an arrest after?
Even sometimes when they tell you that they rescued, it's a lie. They didn't rescue anything.
Paid ransom.
Yeah, people paid ransom. police will now go and claim that they rescued.
And just
we've seen victims come out to say, no, I paid ransom.
Yes,
why are you claiming that
security people are overwhelmed?
Why are you claiming? But don't take credit for what you did not do.
Yes, they should not take credit for what you did not do. They should not take credit for that, because that's not even good in terms of perception. It's not good for them, because when you claim that you rescued people and families accuse you of lying, that's not good for them.
Okay, we are now being joined by Barrister Francis Danladi Kuzaya, a public affairs analyst, and Emmanuel Ado, another public affairs analyst, to talk more on insecurity in the states. Thank you for joining us. Okay. Before we delve into the 2020 security reports, what is your reaction on the abduction of the student of the Federal College of Forestry? Hello? Okay. They're perfecting the connection. So every day we keep hearing these reports, and it's kind of distressing. And somebody called me from the United States yesterday, and the picture he painted, I said sometimes, the way the media escalates this thing is, it felt so bad that every day in Nigeria, that the bad news that comes from Nigeria, that it looks like the country is no longer safe.
I don't agree that it's escalation from the media. If you watch your network, you see that there have been there have been increase in violent crime in America in recent weeks. People have been dying, and it's getting reported. Gun crimes in America. In about 3 locations now, and people get killed, and it get reported.
It will be reported,
because when people are killed, there's no news bigger than that. It should be reported,
and it will be reported.
Yes, it should be reported.
People should expect that when people are being killed,
that the security situation is bad, but we cannot keep quiet and overlook it. In fact, that's worse. Because that means we are trying to say that the lives of our people do not matter, which I think is unacceptable. So yes, things are bad, but it has to be reported.
I also believe that even a lot of what happens don't get reported.
A lot, yes.
I see people abuse people on social media for reporting some of what is going on in the Northeast, especially occasional setbacks by the army. But what they do not know is that a lot of those things don't get reported. Some of us deliberately just choose to not talk about some of those things, either because we think it could demoralize the troops or even demoralize Nigerians. Yeah. A lot of things happening, setbacks. We just choose to keep quiet. So to give the impression that Nigerian media, they like bad news. Which media in the world doesn't report bad news? I'm saying that when government addresses the problem of insecurity and you address it substantially, a lot of these things won't be reported. There was a time in this country when this banditry that we are talking about literally did not exist.
Absolutely.
At least nobody was reporting banditry in this form. I had my youth service in Kaduna. If it was this rampant,
I did my youth service in Meduguri.
Will my parents have allowed me to?
The only insecurity where we experienced there was the Matasene riot.
Yes.
There was nothing like.
It was a fleeting thing. It went.
There was nothing like Boko Haram. There was nothing like bandits.
So if we address the security situation, there will be a lot of good things, a lot more good things to report. But they can't be, okay, look at the people of Borno State for more than a month. Boko Haram plunged them into darkness. By attacking the transmission line, the main transmission line supplying light to the state. They attacked it. It took a long time to fix it. In fact, when I met the power minister about 3 weeks ago, it was one of the questions that I asked. I said, when will you fix that problem? He explained how even the Boko Haram men attacked their own men, TCM men who were told to go and fix the problem.
Yes, because
now they fixed the problem. They fixed the problem very early yesterday. Those boys went back there and then destroyed
they know what they're doing.
The transmission lines again. Yeah. So would you not report it? You will say so that people will not criticize you. You then keep quiet when the whole state is in darkness.
And then to add to that, it will be foolhardy for you to know that there is a problem, and you close your eyes as if the problem will just go away.
It will not go.
It will not go.
Solve it.
It is important for you to acknowledge when there is a problem, because when the first step in solving a problem is acknowledging that there is a problem and identifying what the problem is. You understand? So if there is a problem, in this case in Kaduna State, there is issue of insecurity occasioned by banditry. The government have to sit down and acknowledge that this is the problem that we have, and then put a new architectural security architecture in place that will deal with that problem. If they live in denial and not put things in place that will solve that problem, the problem will persist. It will not go away. You understand? And we cannot allow Nigerians, because when almost 1,000 people, if you lose 1,000 people in a year, that's a lot of figures, and it's unacceptable.
1,972 kidnapped. Only God knows how much ransom was paid.
Yeah.
Because this is a huge figure.
Yes, figure, yes.
And they will not have released these people without
this will be going to billions.
And very few people get rescued by the police.
Yeah.
When this happens. You know?
Those almost 2,000 people.
Cattle, you can imagine if we have to put cost on 7,195.
That's a lot of money.
Cattle, the rustled. But human life, you cannot put value, monetary value on human life. 937 killed. It shows that Kaduna has security issues that must be addressed. And I'm sure that even this year it could be higher.
Imado is on. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you very much for having me.
Before we delve into the 2020 security report, what is your reaction to the abduction of the student of the Federal College of Forestry?
Maybe I should join you from where you left off, which is the issue of reportage of incidences, kidnapping and other incidences, which is the beauty of the Kaduna State report. And if you follow the ministry, Kaduna State Ministry of Internal Affairs and Home Affairs, there is a daily update of whatever has happened. And I want to commend Kaduna State government for being that open, for being transparent. It is not anybody's wish that we have a situation on our hands, but we owe it to citizens, we owe it to ourselves to be able to let people know this is what is happening. And of course, stemming from that, which is more important, what is the government doing? If you go through that 2020 Kaduna State Security Situation Report, you will see that it's not just telling you what has happened, which in itself is very, very good for Kaduna State. If you remember the narratives about genocide and all that, which this report has largely debunked and has shown that if there were killings, they were not where the people were claiming they happened more, which is again back to the issue of the reporting you talked about. Before now, nobody knew, admitted that more than at least 1,561 people were kidnapped in Kaduna Central, as opposed to 94. Now we have facts speaking to us. And the difference is that, of course, you have people who are more media, new media savvy than the others. The man in Brennungwari for years has suffered, and being a peasant, largely illiterate, like the man in Zamfara, the man in Katsina. Once in a while, you get to hear about what they have gone through. I took interest in Zamfara at a point. I never knew Kaduna would be this bad. Yes. So, be that as it may, I agree with you. The media cannot but report what is happening. But again, you have to fact check, which is why I think you guys should back what Kaduna State government has done. It is not celebratory, but in a way, it is helpful in moving Kaduna State forward. Now everybody in Kaduna, from Senator Danjumala to the average man, everybody knows we are not worse off. The worse off area, the area that has been hit the most, that has suffered the most, whether it's in terms of the number of people killed, whether it's in the number of people kidnapped, whether it's in the number of animals rustled, is Kaduna Central. And Kaduna North, as we know now, the safest area. So it's good for the media to report, but it's also good to take into cognizance the fact that while the average Southern Kaduna person is educated and has an Android phone, and can make all kinds of claims, that the man from Braining does not have an Android phone, peasant, illiterate farmer, and he will not be able to. So I think those are areas that the media itself should be able to being aware to take.
How is the government going to address this problem now that flashpoints have been identified? How will the government go on to attempt to solve this problem?
Very, very, very critical. That which is the beauty of this report is that now the government, if you read that report, you see that yes, banditry attacks, when they happen in Kaduna South, they assume ethnic or religious coloration because of assumptions that the attackers are Muslims, and then you have all kinds of claims. And then the tragedy that we usually have is it takes retaliatory killings. We have situations where people now do and they try that. Why in Braining, for instance, you have banditry attacks, but you don't have retaliatory killings. So now the work of the Kaduna Peace Commission, which I must tell you, going by what the Atiap chiefdom has done in the last 1 year, is a mixture of, yes, boots on the ground, and as I speak to you, the Nigerian Navy, Operation Safe Haven from Justice covering Southern Kaduna. As I speak to you, the Air Force have something in Kafancha. As I speak to you, the Nigerian Army itself, they have several formations, and of course there's a squadron of the Nigerian Mobile Police Force in Kafancha. So it's a mixture. It's a mixture of mediation in Southern Kaduna, making that point, which is critical, which is why what the Atiap chiefdom, what they have done in Atiap chiefdom, affirming the right of every Nigerian to peaceful coexistence, the right of every Nigerian to live wherever he or she wants, of course, within the boundaries of the law, has gone a long way. The challenges about blocking of roads has been
just briefly, as we round up.
Yes.
The 39 students of the School of Forestry are still in captivity. The governor has insisted that he will not negotiate with criminals. What do you suggest should be done to get these children out of the hands of these bandits?
For a fact, I know the government, luckily, El-Rufai's position about no to negotiations, his position to reform, and all public or the forestry college were kidnapped. So again, being that he is and being the consultative kind of person that he is, he held an enlarged security meeting where the traditional rulers, NUJ national president, so many other people were present. And the consensus was, don't close the schools that are vulnerable, and then don't negotiate with these bandits. In fact,
Emmanuel Ado, I want to thank you there. Our time is far past spent. We should go on.
We'll have another opportunity to
yes, to talk to them. Maybe in our next Sunday special, we have to do that. I want to thank you for your contribution today.
Thank you.
And from here, where do we go with Judy?
Jide, where do we go? Are we going to a Chinese restaurant or something?
Yes, I have.
No, I'm at your mercy. Wherever you take me, I'm ready to go. You are the man about town.
Okay.
We go somewhere around the Keja GRA. That's our regular place now.
Oh, okay. Okay, for rich people like you. Right?
Happy birthday, Baba Jide Kolade Otitoju. We wish you.
You didn't cut this cake.
We wish you many more glorious. Interns are not here.
Okay.
Interns are not here. You know, normally we did it some years back. We had cut the cake.
Okay, but the time is Westman. So
Jimmy Carr did not give us knife to cut this cake. He just put this thing here, and Festus did not make provision that we cut it to get our shot done.
They don't want us to cut it.
They don't want us to cut it. They just want the cake to be a props here. Thank you, Jide. We're going to have fun with you the next time.
Nigerians for their outpouring of love.
Yeah.
I'm grateful.
Still buzzing on Facebook.
I checked my birthday post. 5,800 comments.
Oh,
I've never seen anything like this. I'm truly
more than
grateful.
What Facebook can accommodate on 5,000 friendship.
5,800 comments.
Okay. Like
and 8,000 likes.
Thank you so much, people. Thank you so much. And that's our offering today. Join us tomorrow for our regular episode of Journalists Hangout by 5 p.m. We're on YouTube, youtube.com/TVC News Nigeria. I'm Ayodele Uzugbaku. Bye for now, and God bless Nigeria.